Hello, everybody. I am Jez Corden, one half of the Xbox 2 podcast. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Uh, Doing a solo show because unfortunately, my co-host with the co-most, Randall Thor 19, has no internet. So, unfortunately, with no internet, there's no Rand. So, this week, I'm going to go solo. We're just going to talk about some random gaming news. We'll get into the biggest Xbox news of the week. We'll also take your questions live on the show. If you drop super chats or, even just hang out in the chat, I'll take your questions live as we go. And see what happens ultimately. Sometimes in the past we've had breaking news in the middle of the show, and that's, directed the conversation and that kind of thing. But I see you guys in the chat. Thanks for joining me on this weird show. We will be doing a regular Xbox 2 as well. But I was prepared to stream today, so I was just like, I'm gonna do a solo show. Just, I got stuff I want to talk about, want to get off my chest, and it's kind of nice hanging out with you guys on a Friday, frankly. Hmm. So, yeah, we got all the cool peeps in the chat. We've got Roy, I see you, Newis, Tommy, Navy Shadow, all you guys, Fletch, how's it going, man? High-end gaming news. You know, it's always cool seeing you guys, and Zach Riley as well in the chat. I'll get some quick housekeeping out of the way, because this is sort of like a semi-show. We'll call this a bonus show. Because I think with me and Randall still do a show maybe on Monday or something like that, where we'll actually like go over some more of the news and we'll get each of our takes and that kind of thing. So I just want to drop some shout outs to our Patreon members. So if you go to patreon.com/Xbox 2, XB2, sorry, you can get ad-free audio and all that kind of stuff, extra shows. We got an extra show coming next week, which should be a good one, especially if you're interested in State of Decay upcoming. And also you get Q&A sessions, which we'll be doing. I'll do those at the end of the show. Or will I do them at the end of the show? Because I think me and Rand are still going to do a Monday show. Oh man, it's hard to tell. I'll talk to Rand about that. But anyways, shout outs. We got Adam Bartolo, Aloran Grogu, Army Dude 52C, Asa T and Madison, Bad Haddock, Briggs Country, Bright Tundra 1, Silas, Discarded Caboose, NX Fantasticals, Glenn, Governor Grimm, iMac Zero, Inner Machine, Jay Foley, James Moore, James Wezo, Justin Duell, Just James 93, Katriox, Lazar Wolf, Murray, Pet Rock, Frosty, Ranalthor 19, RS Donks, Sean Kramer, Shay Elephant, Shrapnel, The Nordic Cannon, Tricks Alpha Trey, Woggerman, and Wolfgang KPZ. Thank you so much for all your support and that kind of stuff. And this show is also sponsored by Surfshark. You can get yourself 86% off a 2-year plan, surfshark.net/XB2. And, drop in there for what I think it's the best VPN I've ever used. And I've used quite a lot of them over the years. It's unlimited devices, RAM-based servers. There's no data retention and all that kind of stuff. Definitely check them out. Check the link in the description to get started. And let's get on with the show, I think. So, elephant in the room. We got a $5 super chat from Edwin Cloud. Thanks for that, buddy. Serious question from 1 to 10. How likely do you think Asher is to bring exclusives back? It's quite interesting because our old pal Tim Dog has been on our old pal Tim Dog has been pretty much on the record as saying that he thinks Gears E-Day, for example, is going to be Xbox exclusive, at least in some capacity. I personally um don't know. I don't know if Gears E-Day is going to be Xbox exclusive or not, timed or otherwise. I would say, I think I said this on last week's show, if it is exclusive, I would presume it's incidentally exclusive, as in the Coalition wanted to focus on the Xbox PC version, didn't have dev kits for PlayStation, that kind of stuff. My guess would be Gears E-Day will come to PlayStation. So, to answer your question, I don't think Ash will bring exclusives back beyond the incidental exclusives we've kind of seen where a dev doesn't have dev kits, or they just want to focus on a specific platform. And even if like Asher wouldn't cancel the PlayStation version, like if they've been working on a PlayStation version, they're not just going to cancel that when it's like pretty much close to being finished. So even if Asher does decide to bring exclusives back, I think it'd be in the future maybe. But it's like she said, the plan's the plan until it's not the plan, right? And I think I said this to Rand last summer when we were talking about it. There might be like, there's probably a spreadsheet. There is probably some math or some formula or some equation where they actually just managed to convince the bean counters that actually it is better for us financially to have exclusives. But someone needs to be convinced of that fact. And right now, I'm not sure anyone at Xbox is convinced of that fact. But, Asher said she'll look at the data and she'll make the decisions. But personally, I'm not optimistic about it, But I'm a pessimist and a cynic. So if I was saying out of 10, I'm going to say 4 out of 10. I'm a 4. I'm below half. Put it that way. It's a good ass cup of tea, man. Navy Shadow says timed exclusivity before going up with the consoles with no specified timeline. Hell, don't even mention the consoles is all we want. I mean, I did see there was some debate from the recent Xbox showcase where they did talk about other platforms for the games. And I think it's like it's a nice thing to do. Like when we're writing about stuff, I want to know every platform the game's coming to, But it's also like it's not very competitive because PlayStation, Nintendo are never going to mention Xbox, are they? So it's sort of like, why does Xbox do it? But it's completely it's not reciprocated by anyone. It's like they do it just purely for the publishers and developers, I think, and it's a nice thing to do. I want to know what platforms, just speaking personally, I want to know the platforms that the games are on. But I don't know. We've got oh my god, Turtles. I see you, man. How's it going, buddy? Um, and yeah. So, what do you guys want to talk about first? Windowed Box says, "Do you think Xbox Showcase will be better than last year?" I do think the Xbox Showcase will be better than last year. This year, um, partially because I think we're going to start seeing things that are a little bit further out and things that we haven't seen before. A lot of the games that we kind of seen recently are games that were announced a million years ago. Like in the recent State of Decay 3 stuff, for example, that we're talking about how the original trailer for State of Decay 3, the game didn't exist. It was just a Word document. And that whole showcase, whether it was Perfect Dark or any of these other projects were kind of never materialized. Microsoft was announcing shit way too early. So everything we've kind of seen, everything we've seen showcase wise for like a long time were kind of projects that were announced too early. But Microsoft's kind of changed its philosophy with regards to this now, and they don't want to announce things. They don't want to announce things too early anymore. So my assumption is that this time with the showcase, and we finally get into a point where a lot of those games that were announced a million years ago, like Fable, they're going to be released. So, and we're going to see State of Decay, obviously. I would expect we'll probably see Clockwork Revolution. We'll get I would expect a 2027 launch window for State of Decay and Clockwork Revolution, potentially. And then maybe we see some other games that are slated for 2027 or 2028, like just announcements and reveals and that kind of thing. So personally, I think that this year's showcase, for me at least, will be a little bit more interesting because a lot of the stuff, like I said, is stuff we've kind of known about for a million years at this point. NC630 says, "Is Rand taking a break?" Rand isn't taking a break. His internet is dead. So I think me and Rand are going to try and do a show on Monday or something like that. But yeah, I'll poke him. But we are gonna do a show this week. So yeah, Randy isn't taking a break. His internet's been on the fritz. Honestly, my internet's been on the fritz recently. So if I disconnect in the middle of the show, like, I apologize in advance, but my internet's not been great here either lately. I was gonna stream a game at the same time as streaming the show, but then I thought my internet will probably explode if I do that. So in the interest of keeping the show like stable and having a a consistent recording, I thought let's not risk it. I suppose. Um, what do we have here? Wildcat says stream World of Warcraft, and we also got Replicant says, how are you enjoying Midnight Raiding? I really like Midnight Raiding so far, World of Warcraft Midnight. Like, the end game is really good with delves, dungeons, prey, mythic plus. I've even been doing rated PvP and the raiding. Like, there's more stuff to do in WoW's endgame than ever, but the story is depressing me. The story writing is not good, man. Sea Lord of Bravo says, just got in, no Rand. No, Rand's internet's dead, but hopefully me and Rand will do a show together on Monday or something like that. So BT Maverick with $10. Thanks for that, buddy. Went to go pick up 2 3-month $60 Game Pass Ultimate cards at Target and found out they discontinued them in my hand at the checkout. Same thing for GameStop and Walmart. Luckily, I'm stacked for 3 years. So, does that mean like the previous? Because I did notice on Amazon. Let's check Amazon right now. Amazon was selling Game Pass Ultimate cards at the old price, and I presume that's because they had an abundance of those cards. Game Pass Ultimate. Let's see what Game Pass Ultimate is currently retailing for on. So, yeah, so Game Pass Ultimate now on Amazon has gone up to $30, which means I suppose they've run out of the $20 cards they had. So that was a loophole it had. Like, I actually, in Germany, I was thinking about this the other day. I actually still see in a lot of the stores here, like Kaufland, for example, they still have Game Pass Ultimate cards at the old price. So maybe I'm wondering now if Microsoft just cancelled all those old cards now, and they were just like, nah, it's got to be the new price. So that's a big question. That's a big question mark for me. Is like, how is Asher gonna position Game Pass? Because I think Game Pass at $30 is like, it's a really, really high price, you know. And I think one of the reasons they've had to do this is Call of Duty. Like, Game Pass has disrupted Call of Duty's business model in a sort of, in a pretty negative way, you know. So, because the way, I can't remember what they call it now. They call it like, Microsoft has a formula to charge back to charge back Game Pass for first party game engagement. So, like, if a first party game goes into Game Pass, Microsoft has a formula. It's called a member weighted something or other. I can't remember what the name of the formula is. But they charge Game Pass the fund back to the studio. So if you get a big game like Call of Duty in there, Call of Duty is going to vacuum up a lot of that revenue, which kind of like eats into how much money you've got month over month to actually get new content. And you need new content to prevent churn, you know. So it's like Call of Duty is so big, even in an off year, Call of Duty is so big that it harms Game Pass. But at the same time, the idea that like you don't have to buy Call of Duty and get it for cheaper kind of also hurts Call of Duty in reverse, you know. So it's like, part of me wonders, like, is there a universe where we get more tiers and maybe some of the big service games go into some kind of super tier, you know, and then like they sort of pull it back to like a cheaper price point for most games, because, you know, and you know, this is one of the topics of the show. Me and Randall talk about this when we do episode 4 or 5, probably on Monday. But like, hang on, let me just pull this up on Windows Central here. So windowscentral.com, windowscentral.com/gaming. So our old buddy Red PHX, who's the developer of Better xCloud, he does a lot of data mining on the xCloud API, and as a result of that, he often comes across Game Pass things that haven't been made public yet. And like he was the first to discover that Game Pass was getting a rework last summer. He found all the code names and all that kind of stuff, and he's done it again recently and found another bunch of code names. So these code names are, we've got Triton, or is it Tridion, something like that. Let me just double check the name of this. Don't want to mispronounce it now, do I? So we do have like, we've got the names of 2 new tiers. We've got Tritian or Triton or whatever it is. And then we've got another one called Duet. Now, interestingly, Duet and Triton only include first-party games. So Doom Eternal, Doom 64, Dishonored 2, Fable Anniversary, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, Gears 5, Halo 5 Guardians, Halo Wars 2, Hellblade, Ori and the Blind Forest, Psychonauts, State of Decay 2, Elder Scrolls Online, and Retro Classics so far. So there's been a lot of speculation that this Duet Triton thing could be the sort of rumored collaboration between Game Pass and Netflix. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but last week Netflix released an app for iOS called, I think it's just something called like Netflix Cloud Gaming Controller, and it was actually the #1 downloaded app for a while. And all it does is sort of, it turns your smartphone into a controller so you can play cloud games on Netflix. And Netflix has like a bunch of AAA cloud games now, like including stuff like Red Dead Redemption and things like that. So part of me wonders, like, Microsoft has been pretty aggressive supporting other cloud platforms. For example, GeForce Now. There's a lot of Microsoft games on GeForce Now, and you can link your Game Pass to GeForce Now and play PC Game Pass games through GeForce Now if you want to, for example. So part of me wonders, like, Microsoft is actively thinking about the structures of the tiers. And I think one of the problems with subscription services all up, I mean, I saw today, like, YouTube Premium is going up in price again, and YouTube Premium Family is almost going to be as much as Game Pass now. I think it's like $28, $29 or something, which is nuts. So a lot of these streaming services are probably like, we're competing with each other, even in segments that aren't necessarily the same industry, you know. So I suppose a lot of these companies are kind of thinking like, well, how can we add value here? You know, if someone can only afford like so many $30 subscriptions a month, how do we access those users who would rather subscribe to Netflix than Game Pass? You know, so I suppose for Microsoft, this is a way that they can still get some of their games into Netflix, and Netflix, I suppose, will pay them for it. And maybe in the other direction, maybe we get some Netflix first party stuff through Game Pass, maybe? You know, can you imagine if like some of Netflix's first party shows and movies get included in Game Pass Ultimate, for example? Like, I don't really watch much Netflix these days, but like, it'd be pretty huge if something like Stranger Things was available in Game Pass Ultimate, you know, in reciprocity, you know. Will that happen? I don't know, but it does seem like they're definitely exploring this as we get to a point where people are sort of fed up with having too many different subscription services. I don't know. So we'll have to wait and see where that goes. What do you guys think? Because another thing that I was thinking, and I saw you guys discussing this on Twitter a lot, was uh, could we see this Duet or Triton Game Pass SKU? Could we see this emerge on PlayStation or Nintendo Switch or like Google Play or iOS or some other platforms? Because one of the issues that like Xbox Cloud Gaming has, for example, is getting around a lot of these different store rules, and a lot of these companies, like, they don't want a third party store becoming a Trojan horse within their ecosystem. But if it's Microsoft's first party games, you know, it could be it could be a way to get Game Pass onto those other systems. I don't know. But for me, like, I don't know how you guys feel about this. And let me know your thoughts in the chat, or in the comments even. But I'm just like, the big issue for me, all up, is $30 is too expensive. Like, I don't necessarily want to lose xCloud because it is useful sometimes, but I don't use it that often, and I don't want to lose access to the first party games day one, or some of the great third party stuff that we've seen hit the service. But I don't need Fortnite crew, man. I think, like, the ideal scenario for me would be, let us choose a bundle. Let us pick and choose what we want in there. Like, let me get rid of Fortnite crew and maybe even xCloud, because now I've got an Xbox Ally. I don't really use xCloud that much. Let me get rid of them, but let me keep the day one games, because that's all I kind of want. But even this, let me get rid of Call of Duty. If Call of Duty is the problem, fine. Don't need it. I don't really play it. So let me get rid of Call of Duty. Let me pick and choose my bundle. So I don't know how you guys feel about that. Speaking of subscription services, one piece of breaking news we got today was Amazon Luna is on its deathbed. I'm gonna read out exactly what's going on with Amazon Luna, because it's not fully dead. It's just kind of it's gonna be dead. It's not gonna last much longer. So Amazon Luna, starting April 10, 2026, via Wario64. Amazon Luna will no longer offer game stores, individual game purchases, or third-party subscriptions. You'll still be able to play any games you've already purchased and access your third-party subscription benefits, as long as that subscription is active until June 10, 2026. After this date, the games will no longer be available on Luna. So, Luna still exists and it's going to have games, but it doesn't feel like it's just not it's not that long for this world, man. I don't know anyone that uses Luna. It kind of feels like, to me, the only real players in cloud gaming are going to be Microsoft, Nvidia, and maybe Netflix. And that Netflix is a big maybe. I don't know anyone that uses Luna. And a lot of people in the replies are like, what the hell is Amazon Luna? So a la carte game purchases will no longer be available. Ubisoft Plus and Jackpot games are discontinued. Bring Your Own Game Library is also discontinued. Third-party game stores like EA, Ubisoft, and GOG are being removed. Oh shit. So after June 10, 2026, previously purchased a la carte titles will no longer be playable on Luna. However, you can continue to access them directly through the third-party platform account that you had linked when you made the purchase on Luna. So yeah, it's pretty much dead. No refunds, man. But Luna Premium staying around. Luna Premium gives you unlimited access to a curated library of top-tier games, all included with a subscription. No individual purchases required. So Basically, it's moving all up to sort of subscription-based kind of model. But I still don't think it's long for this world, personally. But who knows, man? Maybe they'll find an X factor and see. This is why Microsoft acquisition of ABK was like crucial for this kind of for this segment. It was crucial that Microsoft had a ton of content that they could control if cloud gaming was ever going to be a thing. Maybe cloud gaming is never actually going to be a thing, beyond like, I think someone told me that like the vast majority of people who use cloud gaming today are actually people on Xbox and they use it to like test the game out before actually downloading it. Like that seems to be like the current use case for cloud. People don't use cloud on their phones. They just don't. All those like cloud gaming controllers that you can plug onto your phone, nobody uses them. Or at least like not a significant amount of people. Um, the most people are using it on Xbox consoles, funnily enough, and then a bunch of people are using them on Samsung and LG televisions. Um, but it does make me wonder, like, but the thing is, there's been like next to no marketing for any of this shit. Like, nobody knows it exists for one thing, and also like there isn't really been any games that you know truly fit the form factor. Like, for example, cloud gaming on a phone sucks because the UI is always too small to see on a phone, you know. So, because the games are designed for TV, so cloud gaming on phones was never going to take off. Cloud gaming on TV, for Xbox at least, is also a little bit of an issue because the bitrate's so bad. It looks super blurry, and that's even before you start talking about latency. I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's have a look at the chat. High Gaming News says, I hope Xbox never goes NVIDIA route and time limit the sessions. I completely agree. Replicant says, I'm not sure Game Pass is a priority for Microsoft as it moves into a more niche and PC focused next gen. Maybe. I mean, it'd be interesting to see. Like, if they take Call of Duty out of Game Pass this year, which is a possibility from what I've heard, I think like it'll kind of reveal some of the cracks in the strategy, possibly, but I don't know. Jack Cassidy said exclusives are coming back. Amy Hood literally said their revenue for last quarter was down because of first party. I mean, that also means like first party sales on other platforms, man. I mean, what she's talking about there is Call of Duty. So revenue was down because Call of Duty was down, and Call of Duty is not exclusive, so it's not what she was saying, man. What else we got? Game Pass Ultimate is too expensive. Damn right. And yeah, so we've also got $5 super chat from Chicago 212000. Thanks for that, mate. JEZ, I've been having a blast in WoW Midnight. Haven't had this much fun in WoW for a while. Any word on how successful Midnight has been? That's a good question, actually. Like, Blizzard doesn't really share figures from its games these days like they used to back when it was growing, but like since WoW started shrinking, they stopped doing it. I heard that like WoW had sort of evened out and was actually like really healthy and still really profitable. Like there are still millions of players. I mean, I think it peaked at 12 million monthly active users in Wrath of Lich King. I think it's never really seen 12 million players a month since then. Um, but I don't know how successful it's been. Maybe we'll see some evidence of it down the line, but I will say this, the end game is very addictive right now. It's very, very addictive. If they can just nail the story stuff, like it'd be a great expansion, but the story pissed me off so bad. It pissed me off, man. Oh man. So, what else we got here? So yeah, I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen with Xbox Cloud Gaming or Game Pass, and clearly they're gonna rework the tiers, but the $30 price point for Xbox Game Pass for me is something that they absolutely need to look into. They really need to look into that stuff. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. Right, yeah, so High in Gaming News says, "Hey Jez, about that Halo Studios. I mean, yeah, Halo's been in the spotlight again for some of the wrong reasons again, sort of. Um, uh, let's have a look at what's been going on with Halo and do a bit of a recap for those who have missed. I really feel bad for Halo fans because it does feel like the franchise is kind of cursed. Um, you know, it just feels like there's just non-stop bad news about Halo, you know, for whatever reason. It would just be great if, like, I'm not a big Halo fan, but I also, at the same time as not being a big Halo fan, it still feels like it's a core part of the Xbox brand and the core part of the Xbox sort of mythology, isn't it? Right. So it's like Phil himself said something like, I'm paraphrasing it, but he said something like, if we lose our way with Halo, we lose our way with Xbox or something like that, or the other way around. I can't remember, but it was something to that effect. Halo is like part of Xbox's mythology, and like when Halo isn't doing well, it kind of casts a shadow over the brand. So the first bit of Halo stuff is a leak from a survey from a Korean retailer that suggested that Halo campaign Evolved's release date is July 28th. I will say that my sources previously suggested to me that July was the landing strip. So there's also Halo data miner posted a coded message saying that early access to Halo campaign Evolved is coming on July 23rd, with the full release date coming on July 28th, apparently. Um, and also apparently there might be a deluxe edition. So I did hear the July landing strip for Halo a little while ago, but you know, it's only a couple of sources, so I didn't report on it because it didn't really meet my criteria for something I could put my name to. And also I was on vacation, so I was just kind of a bit behind on that. But I did hear July. So personally, there's a lot of smoke there, right? Um and then we've got the other thing. So threatened retaliation on first contact. As I dig into former Halo art director's claims, I'm left questioning what else Microsoft didn't want anyone to see. That's from a colleague, Adam Hales, on Windows Central. So former Halo Studios art director Glenn Israel has taken to LinkedIn, alleging serious misconduct involving Halo Studios and Microsoft. In his claims, Israel says senior representatives engaged in unethical or unlawful acts, including blacklisting, fraud, favoritism, cronyism, as well as multiple harassment campaigns aimed at forcing out unwanted employees. For those unaware, Glenn Israel joined Bungie back in 2008 to work on Halo 3 ODST, also worked on Halo Reach before joining 343. So yeah, so Glenn Israel is a long tenured Halo art director, and he alleged a lot of stuff. Basically, he suggested that the managers wanted him out and they wanted to oust him, and they used Microsoft's layoff rounds as an excuse to lay him off, and they targeted him, and his claims were dismissed by Xbox HR and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot there. It's a big LinkedIn post, and you should read it. on Windows Central. You know, and Microsoft did send us a comment. We didn't ask for one, but they sent one. Um, Out of respect, we don't publicly discuss individual employee issues, but we do take all claims seriously for both current and former employees, said a Microsoft spokesperson. So, you know, it's not the first time we've heard these things revolve around 343 and now Halo Studios, right? It sounds like a tough environment to work in. We had all that stuff before about the way Microsoft would use contractors and then like constantly recycle them because they didn't want to employ them, and all this kind of weird stuff with regards to 343. You know, I've heard things too, but again, it's one of them where it's like, you know, what's hearsay and what isn't. And, you know, when you see like some of these like legitimate reporters do like these kind of deep dives into a studio, it usually takes like months of work and dozens and upon dozens of interviews. But because I like work sort of closely with a lot of Microsoft individuals, there's always like these rumors that kind of filter down about all different parts of Microsoft, you know. So I wouldn't be surprised if this isn't the first bit of stuff we hear about this. But I do know like Microsoft's layoffs from last summer were absolutely toxic. Like it's like this with Halo Studios is not the first time that I've been told that the layoff rounds were used by middle management to basically oust people they didn't like, or at least that's kind of like the perception that the layoffs have created, you know. And that's like one of the big problems, you know, like even when you disregard the human element, you know, speaking from a cold-hearted kind of corporate strategical element, it's kind of like, is it worth all of the sort of, I don't know what to call it, the damaged morale? Are these massive layoff rounds worth the damaged morale that sort of emerge as a result of this stuff? The bitterness, you know, I don't know, man. The corporate world is a brutal universe, but I don't know. I suppose like one of the sort of the sad things about it is you know, for Halo fans, it just creates it just casts another shadow over the Halo brand. And I don't know how you guys are feeling about Campaign Evolved, but I don't feel like Campaign Evolved is the way to take the franchise forward, you know. I mean, it already had one remaster, and they're remastering it again. And it's coming to PlayStation, which is controversial in of itself anyway. You know, it just kind of feels like they don't know what they're doing with it, really. For me, it should have been like, you know, and it doesn't have multiplayer either. It's or PvP. It's I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel about it. And I always feel weird talking about Halo because, like I said, I'm not a big Halo guy, but I sort of sympathize with the community as an Xbox guy because, like I said, Halo's a critical part of the Xbox apparatus, man. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. Mm. Zach says they had to rebrand from 343 to Halo Studio because bad rep on studio culture, besides other factors. High End Gaming News says Kiki Wolfkill was a big reason that Halo Legends happened. She made a lore roundtable. I have a legendary symbol for a tattoo. Captain Chat says the mishandling of the Halo IP is shocking. I completely agree. Coffee Jesus says I wanted Infinite to be infinite, add more content, build the story and world. I mean, the Halo Infinite thing was crazy. Like, I remember when, like, even going back to like Guardians, and they had like Master Chief in a cape. I thought that was cool. You know, a bit silly for a dude in armor to be wearing a cape, but I also thought it was a cool look, right? And then the whole Guardians thing, like these giant robots, it just ended up amounting to nothing. And then they kind of sweep all the like again. I'm a casual Halo guy. I don't read the books. I don't read the books, right? And I know some of the Halo Guardian stuff was handled in the books, but as someone who only plays the games, and I would suspect most people only play the game, the way the whole Guardians story angle was just kind of swept under the rug was so weird to me. And then you jump from Guardians to Infinite, and then they bring in some of the story elements from Halo Wars 2, you know. And I really enjoyed Halo Wars 2, by the way. I played Halo Wars 2 to death, and the DLC for Halo Wars 2 was fantastic. I played that sort of horde mode in Halo Wars 2. I played that so much. It was so addictive. They should have added it for free to the base game though. Like I really think like that DLC was too expensive for what it was. But it was a different time, man. But like, and then they build up like Halo Infinite with all this other stuff, and they're sweeping it under the rug again, and it feels like they're doing another reboot on it again. What it kind of reminds me of is Skype. I know it's a really weird comparison, but when Microsoft bought Skype, they rebooted Skype, the Skype app, over and over again and redesigned it over and over again. Instead of building on what they had and working on it and improving it, they just kept rebooting it and forcing people to relearn how to use it over and over again to the point where everyone just ended up going to Discord or for like a more stable, consistent experience, you know. And I just, the way they've handled Halo is like looking at it from the outside, it's been shocking, man. It's been absolutely shocking, you know. Chris R with the 10. Thank you so much, dude. Hey, Jez, in the community, the remaster art style was pretty hated in 2011. It was also just a graphics filler. This remake is nice because it is not just graphics, but levels, weapons, features, etc. Yeah, I mean, sure. And the campaign Evolved has extra story missions too, right? So it's like it's an expanded campaign too, right? So, in that context, I suppose it is pretty cool. But I would also think, do we not need a new game? Like I say, I'm not even a Halo guy, but I've played Halo 1, Combat Evolved. Like I've run it through quite a lot of times, you know, with various different friends and family over the years. Um it's the kind of the way I felt about Gears E Day. I mean, the Gears Reloaded. Um it wasn't old enough. Like it was still kind of fresh in my memory. And the fact that I played Halo many times over and over again is kind of fresh in my memory, you know. But when it came to like Resident Evil 4 or Resident Evil 2, it had been literal decades since I'd played those. So I was kind of more eager for a remake. And again, I'm only speaking for myself here, you know. Um, I'll play it, but I also think like the Halo franchise all up has just been spectacularly mismanaged. Spectacularly mismanaged. But it's also, I kind of see the issue they've got with it though. In 2026, a single player shooter is a little bit anachronistic. And Microsoft is a company that always thinks big, and they always want big service games, millions of players, and live service, and skins, and ongoing. That's why Halo Infinite was called Halo Infinite in the first place. They wanted it to be a service game in essence, and they didn't pull it off. So like going back to basics with a single player sort of shooter experience, it feels like, do these games kind of live? do these kind of games truly have a big audience in current year? I don't know. You know, outside of like us, sort of people our age. You know, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Hey, we got Akey Drakey in the chat. Hey, man. Oh man. But yeah, I don't know. What would you guys like to see from Halo? Tell me your Halo perspectives in the chat. Because like I say, I'm not a big Halo guy, so I am kind of coming at it from the outside looking in. And I advocate for Halo in the same way I advocate for the Xbox community, because it's part of the mythology, you know, it's just part of it all, you know, all up. For better or worse. Coffee Jesus says there's always a chance with retro feeling games slowly coming back around. That's Halo's niche may well be just ahead of it. Lots of games going to the PS1 aesthetic. You know what I'll do? Because you said that. One thing that I did record footage of earlier was this game. Can you guys see this game? I've changed the game on the stream for those who are listening on audio. So this is Dread Delusion, and this is kind of like, it feels like it's, I don't even know how to describe this game. It's like a sort of RPG kind of, I don't know, Morrowind like kind of, with PS1 graphics. I played it for about an hour earlier, and it is it's really fantastic. But I have to wonder, like, is there a big audience for this kind of game on Xbox? Like, well and truly, you know. Like even Doom the Dark Ages seemed to struggle last year, you know, for better or worse. Like I really want a new BioShock, but do the kids want a BioShock? You know. A Kizzy Boo Boo says, Jez, are you going to FanFest in London? I don't think so, matey, but I might be going to LA for the Xbox show. I don't think I'll be going to FanFest because it's more of a fan thing rather than press. But, you know, I will meet people who are attending FanFest, hopefully. Mm, have I missed any super chats? Just checking here. I think we're good. Yep, I think we're good. So yeah, I don't know if any of you guys have played this game, but it's really, really good, man. Glyphere with the $5, thank you so much, says episodic bite size 8 to 10 hour story, but with yearly releases. You know, achieving 8 to 10 hours in a year, is that something a dev could do these days? I suppose they could if it's like they've got all the assets ready. Doom the Dark Ages is getting a DLC expansion soon, right? So that'll be about a year after launch. So I mean, maybe. You know, XBX Lord Car says all these kids want nowadays is Roblox and more Roblox. I mean, it's damn true, man. I was playing World of Warcraft earlier with my good friend, and he's got an 11-year-old, and he said all his 11-year-old wants to do is play Roblox on his phone all day, every day. Roblox on his phone with his friends playing Roblox. You know, it's I suppose it's for the kids. It's like their Minecraft, right? Well, the kids like Minecraft too, I suppose, but Roblox has this sort of cross-game social element, which Minecraft doesn't really have. High End Gaming News says, "Why is Jez hair and beard so silky?" It's what's it called? It's It's Head and Shoulders. That's all it is. It's just Head and Shoulders. I I don't know, you guys know, but I had surgery. I had surgery last summer, on my gallbladder, and I had to do this like, but there was complications, and I had to like do this I had to do this like really like low calorie diet. I lost 50 pounds. I had to do this liver shrinking diet for the keyhole surgery, and because of that, I like lost a bunch of hair. Because like when you do that surgery, and you like when you lose weight aggressively, your body like tries to retain calories, and it does that partially by um reducing the amount of your hair growth. So like a ton of my hair fell out. So like I've got all these like annoying bits of hair, which is like this is like started growing back now. So my hair's actually been really pissing me off. And sometimes I just think, shall I just shave it all off? Go bald? I was saying to my girlfriend earlier, shall I just, shall I just go bald? See what it looks like. I've never shaved my head before. I'm kind of curious what if I could rock it. I could rock it, man. You know. Don't go for. I like the look, man. I kind of like it, you know. But my hair kind of annoys me, man. Sean Boy 97, hey man, bald with a beard like me, buzz cut JEZ. Yeah, I don't know. His hair's just really annoying me, man. And also, it's got this annoying side parting thing it does. Like, my hair parts naturally over here, which really bugs me. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I'll keep the hair for now. While I've still got it, Joaquin says, Jez, have you seen that in the US? 9 top secret scientists have been murdered or are missing, 2 of which worked in the same lab. They worked in UFO fields, nuclear energy, and meteor studies. I have not seen that, matey. But that sounds intriguing, if true. You never know what's true these days. Coffee Jesus says, are you doing better after the op? I am. I mean, I've put weight back on. I really like the operation because it's like, I lost a ton of weight initially, and I was like, hey, that's cool. But, now I'm gaining the weight back, and it's like, oh, that's not so cool. Like, my weight yo-yos so badly, man. Like, about 10 years ago, I lost, like, 100 pounds. About 20 years ago? Nah, about 15 years ago, I lost 200 pounds. Both times, I gained it all back. It's just hard for me, man. I just like food. Food's, like, my favorite in the whole world, man. Food and Warcraft. If you want to make me happy, put me on Warcraft and give me some snacks, and I'm good. I'm good for it, man. Sea Lord of Bravo says, I haven't paid for a haircut in 20 years. I just buzz it short and tie it every couple of months. Yeah, I haven't paid for a haircut either since well, I don't think I've paid for a haircut ever. I've had my beard trimmed professionally before I kind of learned how to do it myself. I got a sort of beard guard thanks to Manscaped. And I sort of do it here to keep it evenly distributed. But usually what I do is when my hair gets too long at the back, I just sort of get it in a ponytail and then cut it off, and then let it grow back again. Because it does get annoying when it's too long. Puckish Rogue with 5. Thanks for that, man. Hey Jays, what would you do if Blizzard released 2 brand new expansions for WoW, but one was only for classic version and the other was for the main version? Well, it's interesting that you say that, matey, because I think that's what they're gonna do this year. So one of the things that like in the WoW community, one of the issues in the WoW community, I suppose, is that the game right now is split into 2 versions. There's like a classic version, which is based on how the game used to be. And then there's a retail version, which is a sort of high octane service game, addictive gameplay loop, seasons, DLC, microtransactions, all that kind of stuff. But a lot of people just like playing the classic version of the game. But the problem with the classic version of the game is there's nothing to fucking do. There's nothing to do in classic, I played classic to death when it came out. I did everything. I did all the way up to Naxxramas 40. I did all that shit. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to do in that game. So one of the things that people often ask Blizzard to do is this concept of Classic Plus, where it's like how it used to be, but it's got more stuff. So I think that this year at BlizzCon they will announce WoW Classic Plus expansion, which is in the spirit of the way the game used to be, but with more stuff in it to keep people entertained. So I think that's probably what they will do. But I kind of like, part of me is like, will that mess up the lore? You know, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. You know. Jack G with the 10. What hyped you most about the Starcraft shooter? Oh man. It's hard to really talk about it without sort of getting myself in trouble. Because I shouldn't have seen it. I shouldn't know that it even exists. We know it exists because of Jason Schreier Bloomberg. I just want to put that out there. It was never me who leaked the Starcraft shooter. But if you look at you know, if you look at the kind of pedigree that seems to be working on the game, and I don't know if you guys know this, but as of January 2026, it seems like our old pal Drew Murray from the Initiative is now working on the Starcraft shooter. So, you know, obviously Drew Murray is a pretty famous tenured dude, and he was one of the founding members of the Initiative. And since January 2026, he's been an associate design director at Blizzard Entertainment, and I've heard that he's working on the StarCraft shooter. Don't know if it's true or if he's working on something else, but he is at Blizzard, and I have heard he's working on that. So they're putting together they are putting together a bit of a dream team for the shooter. So that has me excited in the one hand, but I tell you what excited me was honestly just seeing StarCraft again. Um, you know, seeing the Terrans and the Zerg and all that kind of stuff. The realistic graphic style was also impressive. You know, it wasn't like, I mean, it was hard to tell from the video, but it was like it was not the sort of stylized graphics of Overwatch or whatever, or like the classic or StarCraft 2 even, you know. It looked like they were going more for the StarCraft 2 cinematics than the sort of um the more stylized stuff that Blizzard does. If Blizzard's art style is on a scale and you've got like the realistic stuff of like Diablo 4 and then like the stylized stuff of the Pixar style stuff of Overwatch, it did feel like StarCraft shooter was way more towards the realism end of the scale. So, um, but again, I don't know how early in development the footage I saw was, um, which is why I'll never leak it because it's like, you know, it will look a lot better at launch than what I saw. So, yeah, I am besides myself with hype, and you know, Blizzard was teasing it themselves when they sent out press kits for BlizzCon. The little sort of they sent out like a coaster, and it was like Overwatch, Warcraft, Diablo, and Starcraft as the four key pillars of Blizzard's universes. So clearly, they still see Starcraft as an important part of their business model. You know, so I'm incredibly excited for that shit, man. Mm. So, oh my god, Turtle says favorite midnight snack. Mine's a glass of milk and cheese on toast. One thing that I do, one habit I've got that's really annoying is snacking at night. I often just like, again, like you, kind of just make a cheese sandwich or something, and then I'll lie in bed and slap on some documentary about the ocean or something, and then just eat cheese sandwich and you know, put the pack the pounds on, you know. So what else we got here? Reef says Blizzard is killing this year. Jez, how come Diablo 4 doesn't have a count statistics screen in game? You should hit up your contacts and find out why. Good question, man. I suppose it's like it's something that they'd probably consider doing, but they've got like, bigger fish to fry, I suppose. We'll find out what kind of stuff the expansion has in, because the expansion might have little details in it like that. I mean, we'll see. But when I am planning to go to BlizzCon this year, hopefully. So it's something like we can maybe ask to them later in the year if it's not there eventually. Getting sleepy. Web Dave with the 2 says, you and Rand coming to LA in June. Wow on Xbox ever. I'm coming to LA, hopefully. Don't know for sure, but hopefully I'm coming to LA in June. So if you're out there, I'll come and say hi, man. World of Warcraft. I don't know if World of Warcraft will be on Xbox Series S and X. It might be there via cloud. And honestly, I think WoW would probably be a good cloud game because of the global cooldown. Like, spells have like a 1 second global cooldown, which, kind of offsets latency issues you might have. So, and also if you play something like a Beast Mastery Hunter or I don't know, a Ret Paladin, that's like, it doesn't, latency is not really going to screw you over. So I could see World of Warcraft hitting Xbox via cloud, but it's definitely going to run Helix because Helix is just a PC, right? So yeah, man. Navy Shadow says, "Hey, Jez, WrestleMania next week. Any predictions?" Man, Navy, like I haven't been watching wrestling that much recently. I saw that stuff with Randy Orton and Pat McAfee, and I just rolled my eyes. Like, it doesn't the product's kind of irritating me right now. I don't really like the direction they've been taking a lot of the stories in. Um, like why isn't like they've got I Show Speed on the card at WrestleMania, but not Carmelo Hayes? That's just fucking nuts to me, man. So I'm just kind of annoyed with the WWE at the minute. I don't even know what the matches are beyond that. But maybe I am being mean. Cullen Prime says, Jez, have you heard if they're gonna have a virtual ticket available this year? I haven't heard, but I would bet money that there will be a virtual ticket. The virtual ticket makes a decent chunk of money for them, so I would bet money that there will be a virtual ticket. Zach Riley says, any updates on Heroes of the Storm? There's not a team actively working on Heroes of the Storm as in content. It's in kind of maintenance mode where they do balance patches and do updates and stuff. The thing is that there is a Heroes of the Storm esports event at BlizzCon this year, and if they were ever going to announce like a new hero for Heroes of the Storm again, like even if it's just like, don't expect us to be going hard on Heroes of the Storm anymore, but we have decided to put a new hero in the game, like as fan service. Maybe that's something that we could see at BlizzCon. Like if they are doing the esports thing, it'd be a fantastic moment for that community. Like Heroes of the Storm is such a good fucking game. And I always I had this dream that it would come to Xbox and I could play it with a controller. Cause like Pokemon Unite plays really well with a controller. And I do like games like Smite, but I kind of I'm really bad at playing Heroes of Storm with a mouse and keyboard for some reason. I could never really get my head around playing a MOBA like that. But I really enjoyed Pokemon Unite, which you could play with a controller. So, I don't know. I'd love to see her as a Storm on console, but yeah, I don't know. Zach Riley says, Jez, you aren't happy with the stories in WWE or WoW. Yeah, it's true, man. It's true. I'm kind of I don't know, maybe I'm just cynical at the moment. But yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. Windowed Box 2901 says Starcraft third-person shooter should be first Blizzard Xbox Play Anywhere game. I mean, yeah. I mean, kind of makes sense to me that it probably would be the first Play Anywhere game. Like, yeah. I mean, you've got there are a bunch of Blizzard games on Xbox, but they're not Play Anywhere. Like Diablo isn't Play Anywhere, which is really annoying. because you have to. It's got like the Blizzard account thing where like your progress does roam across devices, so it's kind of play anywhere, but you have to buy the DLC twice, you know. And I have heard there is work being done to link BattleNet and Xbox entitlement together, so eventually it will be play anywhere, but via BattleNet. But you know, it's work ongoing, right? It's completely different store infrastructures there. Um, but all Helix will solve a lot of this stuff by default, but it does seem like, you know, one of the things that I was going to talk about today was the way Xbox has been going hard on feedback for the original consoles, which is something I didn't expect to see, you know. Um, so let's have a look back here at what's actually been going on with Xbox, you know. Um, let's have a look here. So Xbox has been going hard on new features since Ash's tenure, and the Xbox engineers have been pretty publicly excited about the way things are going. Um, we had an engineer, Bill Ridman, yesterday tweeted out, "We're rocking and rolling on bringing new Xbox console features. What do you guys want to see?" And then I rounded up some of the best, you know, best suggestions. A lot of people talking about um, Xbox achievements, you know, splitting achievements between single player, multiplayer, and DLC, bringing back multitasking, focus on social features. You know, Idle Sloth said we want the dashboard in HDR. I definitely want that too. Being able to get new DVR features is something a lot of people ask for. Screen share and cam on party chats, you know. And then Xbox is they've started doing achievement revamp. You know, that we've got like new achievement graphics, which I think we saw first on the new cloud gaming interface back in January. But it kind of hints at a wider effort to improve achievements. And you know, when I met Asher for my interview, like one of the things I said was like the thing that people ask me the most about is will we get new achievements? So like if you kind of want to show that you're on board with the community, maybe exploring something like that, you know, could be on the cards. But it does seem like this was something that they were already working on because like I said, the new achievements, graphics and filters were already available in the cloud gaming interface beta. Um, so it does seem like there is going to be a wider effort to sort of, um, you know, improve that kind of thing. We also got FanFest coming back, which is something like people also ask for, and FanFest is even going global this time. We've got events across Europe and also the first FanFest in Japan, which, you know, the 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 Japanese aspect is pretty big deal for me because it shows like we're trying to build a community in Japan, which is something Xbox has always historically struggled with. But it shows how important Japan is as a market, not just for Japan, but also, you know, the rise of Japanese games in the West, or the resurgence, I should say, because Japanese games have always been big in the West, but now they're like, you know, at the forefront, you know. And also, they got rid of the "this is an Xbox" marketing campaign, which again seems to be the result of feedback. So I don't know how you guys feel about all this. I was kind of suspicious, and um, I kind of wrote an article the other day about why I think this is happening because it's not just Xbox, but it's Windows too. There's like they've revamped the Windows Insider program. They're bringing back the Windows Insider in-person meetups, which is kind of like it's kind of like the Windows version of FanFest in a way. They're doing all this stuff for Windows too, and it's like why is this happening this year? Why is this happening all at once? Like it doesn't seem coincidental, you know. Mm. And you know, in the context of like what everything that's going on with artificial intelligence and that kind of thing, it really feels like Microsoft realized they've hit a rock bottom with some of these products, man. Um, I don't know if you guys saw this, like, but Sam Altman's. I don't know if I saw this in passing, but Sam Altman's house got attacked. Yeah, so Sam Altman, who's the OpenAI boss, someone threw a petrol bomb at his house, setting fire to the perimeter gate, which is crazy. You know, it's kind of like this sort of the negative conversation around artificial intelligence is really coming to a head. You know, the idea of it destroying jobs, destroying humanity, even. You know, always in nature, when a superior version of a species comes along, the inferior version of the species goes extinct. You know, and that's kind of like what these companies are aiming for, is a new species that behaves like humans but more intelligently and more efficiently and more effectively. So, you know, and Microsoft's providing the infrastructure to deliver that extinction scenario, you know. So part of me is just like, is Microsoft doing this stuff now because they've realized everyone on Earth hates them because of all this stuff? You know, I just can't help but like, and some people at Microsoft were even kind of like, I think annoyed with me for not just being accepting of the fact that we are getting cool stuff for Xbox and Windows again. And it's great that we are. You know, I'm not sort of downplaying the fact that it's a good thing that we're getting this stuff again. But it's also like, it feels like disingenuous of me to not explore why this is happening right now. Coincidentally, in the year that it feels like OpenAI is going to blow up in Microsoft's face, so to speak. You know, um, it's uh, it's an unprecedented time in tech, and Microsoft's share price is down 30% since the summer, as shareholders kind of like agonize over how much Microsoft's spending on all this shit. You know, and no talent says, you are right to be cynical, Jez. We've been burnt by Microsoft so many times, and that really is it, you know. And Asha herself said proof over promise. But we've been here before, like, and I've been covering Microsoft now for over 10 years. Like, I've been blogging about Microsoft initially as a hobby blogger, and now like professional blogger. You know, this is the fakest job on earth, but professional blogging for like the past decade. And we've been in this situation before where it's like, wait till next year, wait till next year, wait till next year, and all this kind of stuff. You know, so it kind of ebbs and flows, right? So while I want to be optimistic that things are always going to be like this and always going to be positive again, it's also like, I've been here, we've all been here many times before, where it's like, you know, you love us now, but like, what happens next year, you know, when Amy Hood wants a bit of margin. So one thing I have heard is that Microsoft's corporate financial structure has taken some of the margin pressure off Xbox and Windows, actually. So there has been a move to invest in customer features and feedback and improvement and polish in a way that hasn't been true in the last few years as a result of Microsoft's fiscal policy, you know. So um it, we all heard like over the summer, and then Bloom, like I said on the podcast, like I'd heard a crazy rumor that Microsoft wanted, you know, these like 20% margins or whatever, or 30% or wherever it was. They wanted these crazy margins for Xbox, like way beyond the industry standard. And then Bloomberg reported on it and confirmed it, and I was like, Jesus, because like I heard that whispers and rumors, and it just seemed like this is completely unrealistic. There's no way this can be a thing, you know. And it was a thing, you know. And I think like Phil and Sarah were fighting a financially losing battle with such constraints on what they could do. So now we've got fast forward to now, and they kind of realized that this self-imposed austerity that they put on Windows and Xbox has cast a negative effect and negative shadow over both of them, you know. And I know this is an Xbox podcast, but like if you guys like look at the Windows community ever and like the PC community, the 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 level of hate for Windows is beyond anything I've ever seen in 10 years. And I wasn't around when Microsoft was sort of like having its big court battle in the 90s over Internet Explorer, which made them like the court case was called America versus Microsoft or something, like United States versus Microsoft, over like the monopolistic behaviors of Bill Gates at the time. Um, but like in my time covering Microsoft, I've never seen Windows be hated the way it's been hated over the last few years. You think about things like with the Windows recall debacle, with the privacy scandal, all the telemetry and ads that appear in Windows now, like all this kind of bullshit, and then the Copilot stuff, the AI in every bloody tool and program you've got, all that stuff. It's been a lot, you know. So to see Microsoft acknowledge that and start pulling back on it is fantastic, you know. But at the same time, I'm kind of someone who just like they're not doing this out of the goodness of their hearts. I mean, the people that make the features are sure, like the engineers and like the Xbox people, and they love that they're able to do this again. Like the way they're tweeting, they're energized again. You know, you can see the elation play out in real time on Twitter with the engineers about this stuff. But it's always been like the top level thing for me. It's always been like Satya Nadella's strategy, Amy Hood's strategy, and the rules they impose on their subsidiaries about how they can run the business, you know. So um I really think that's the way it's gone down. And they just realized that this self-imposed margin austerity thing that Amy Hood imposed on Xbox and Windows, they realized like they're handing away these entire platforms to competitors. Like Linux is growing, and you know, and you've also got like the new MacBooks are like really powerful for how expensive they are, and like Apple's like coming for the low end now. There's like a $700 MacBook, which is like more powerful, or at least comparative in power to like a comparable Windows laptop, but also like while having the polish and prestige of an Apple product, right? So like this lack of innovation on the Windows side, and Surface 2, for example, is really harming them. And we had all the headlines over the summer about how SteamOS is more efficient and effective at running games than Windows is, you know. And some of the headlines were in bad faith, and some of the YouTube videos were clickbait and all that kind of thing. But there's so much genuinely valid criticism to be leveraged at Xbox and Windows right now, you know. And it's like kind of like me and Rand have always said, it's always about the bottom line with these companies, right? It's always about the bottom line, and it really does seem like Microsoft's realized that what they're doing was hurting their bottom line ultimately. Um, so, you know, Hazardor, how's it going, man? Hazardor says the fact Satya was upset seeing the Microsoft's Microslop trend says they do care what customers say. I mean, it does feel like, you know, we've kind of bullied the corporation into bending on some of this stuff. You know, Buzz Swan says all the French government is switching to Linux. Like, there is a lot of that. Like, a lot of European governments are switching to Linux because they see the United States-based operating system as a security threat now. Um, and but like Linux is still has its problems, man. Like, um, I saw recently that. So I saw recently, like, and I don't know how true this was, because again, I'm not a super technical kind of guy, but I was reading a thread I was reading a thread recently where it was like some kind of exploit had been found like in Linux at a kernel level, which makes all games on there like super easy to pirate now or something like that. Um, and obviously game publishers aren't gonna like want to make Linux versions if it means that there's gonna be rampant piracy on Steam OS, right? Um, I don't know, but yeah, it's uh it's good that they've recognized the damage they've done to their own platforms. I kind of wish like I kind of wish we'd also got Surface back, because I really think like Surface was the referential device for all Microsoft hardware design. And now it's kind of been reduced to this sort of basic kind of laptop thing they do now. Um and it should be way more than that. It should be the showcase for the whole Windows operation for me. And like considering like Xbox Helix is also a Windows device, like the Windows Surface and Xbox should sit together in a product ecosystem in much the same way that iPhone and MacBook do. And Microsoft has just never been able to pull that off. They were so close to pulling it off with Panos Panay, but you know, Satya pissed it away because, like I've written countless times, Satya just doesn't seem to get consumers. And Satya wants to operate Microsoft like a bank. And maybe you should have gone into banking or something instead of being a technology company or a technologist. But Apple doesn't compromise, man. Like for all the shit that I fling at Apple, they have stayed consistent on their bread and butter and iterating on their bread and butter. You know, they didn't go like balls to the wall, spending billions on artificial intelligence. You know, they stuck to what they do best, and you know, whereas Microsoft's just like, let's invest here, let's invest there, and try and be everything, and then end up being like a jack of all trades, master of none. Like Copilot sucks. You know, you try Copilot compared to like some of these other AI stuff, and Copilot's just awful. You know, Copilot can't even do the shit that Grok can do on Twitter. You know, how do you end up in that situation? You know, and for me, it's like a lack of care for the customer. You know, and I'm talking about Copilot now, but really, this shit filters down to Windows. It filters down to PC. It filters down to Surface, and it definitely filters down to Xbox. You know, and it's a lack of care for the customer, and it's reflected in things like Microsoft's shitty customer support. It's reflected in things like bugs and other issues, and you know, programs like Xbox PC app being like um decades behind Steam. You know, all of these products should have had tons of investment to get them up to par and up to like get them up to a level that people expect them to be at, rather than like trying to compete with everyone in a half-hearted kind of way. They should be investing in being the best, you know. But I don't run a $1 trillion company. I am just a dude with a keyboard. I'm a dude with a keyboard and a webcam, and I don't really know that much about it. So yeah, I don't know. But it is ultimately a good thing that we are getting the feedback through now. I just like wonder like the plan's the plan until it's not the plan, right? That's what Asher said. So we're getting the feedback through now. We're getting the features now, but um, some of these bigger decisions that Asher's gonna have to make, like the Game Pass price, the whole exclusivity debate. What is the unique selling point of Xbox as a brand and a platform? These are like more complicated questions that Asher's gonna have to answer. And Xbox customers have been so patient for so long, and we've always there's a whole meme about like let's wait for next year. Let's wait for next year. People's patience is kind of like really running thin, man. I don't know. I don't know, but it's a tough economy, you know. In complete fairness, like hardware components and all the disruption that's been going on globally, globally, economically, geopolitically. It's crazy. It's crazy out there to be a hardware manufacturer right now. It's crazy. And like, and that's even before you start talking about disruption on gaming from like, um, disruption in gaming from like, TikTok and YouTube and the dilution of attention spans, which is affecting core gaming all up, right? It's unprecedented times, man. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. So, what else should we talk about? We've been here for a good hour and a half now. If you guys are liking the show, I don't use this channel that much, but hit the subscribe button anyway, and I will try to stream more often. I do quite enjoy streaming when once I start going, like it's quite fun. Um, one thing I do struggle with, like, I don't know how people do it, but like play a game, uh, pay attention to the chat while also on webcam. Like that's like a level of multitasking that I find genuinely impressive. Um, but I suppose it's practice to some degree. Like this is why like I like podcasting with Rand so much. Because Rand can handle all that stuff. So and I can play games. And Rand can read the chat for me. So that's fantastic. Abdul says, is Returnal coming to Xbox? I highly doubt Returnal comes to Xbox, man. Highly, highly, highly doubt it. But I mean, the whole rumor is that Sony's pulling away from multi-platforms, man. So, someone in the chat says, Pete Zenkai says, did you see a new Kotaku article on Pete Hines and his comments about Xbox and Bethesda? That's interesting. So Hines suggested in an April 10 interview with Kirk, I can't pronounce your surname, Kirk, I'm so sorry. Fireside Chat newsletter, which you guys should check out, and I'll link it here in the chat. Oh, I can't, sorry. But yeah, Kirk's Fireside with a Z, Fireside Chat newsletter, that Microsoft turned out to be a bad fit for Bethesda and made its job of managing the story game studio's reputation impossible. Pete Hines said, I was staying there because this place still needs me. I just hit a point of yes, it needs me, and I'm powerless to do what I think needs to be done to run this place properly, protect these people, to maintain what we worked hard to create, which is an incredibly efficient, well-run video game developer publisher. And when I was unable to do that, to do what I thought my job should involve in continuing to have the place be, if not the most efficient publisher in the game industry, it was way the fuck up there, says Pete Hines. And when I couldn't protect it, and I saw how it was getting damaged and broken apart and frankly mistreated, abused, and whatever word you want to use, I said, I'm not going to sit here and watch this happen right in front of me. Hines gave his notice, but ended up staying on longer than expected post-acquisition because of Starfield's multiple delays. His departure ended up landing right around a pivotal inflection point for Xbox after the disastrous launch of console-exclusive Redfall earlier in 2023, and the news that some first-party games would start getting ported to PlayStation 5 later in the year. So, I've never spoken to Pete Hines. I think I met him in passing at an event once. Obviously, Pete Hines is a legend. But the only thing I can speak to with regards to this is my experience is like Windows Central being acquired, and this is nowhere near on the same scale, right? Nowhere near on the same scale. Like Windows Central is a small team, Bethesda's a huge team with hundreds and hundreds of employees, especially like when you factor in like the subsidiary studios, right? But it's still like Windows Central was acquired by Future. Future's a big corporation. Windows Central was part of a startup. When we were part of a startup, we had like so much money, we had so much freedom, we had a company credit card, and we could just buy any equipment we needed. We didn't need any approvals, we didn't need to go through any middle management, we could go to any shows we wanted, anything we felt we needed to do to grow Windows Central as a brand, we were allowed to do it, right? But now, like, Windows Central is a quiet part of Future and publicly traded company. You know, there's a lot more rules, there's a lot more laws, you know, when you're a publicly traded company, and you know, it's the shareholders own the company technically. So there's so much more red tape to jump through to do anything really, you know, and it is endlessly frustrating, you know, as someone who really enjoyed the startup culture and the freedom we had as an independent company to go into working in the corporate sector, you know. And I'm not attacking Future here by any means, because there are rules in the UK about how companies like that can operate. But if you are someone in a creative industry like journalism, or in a more furthermore, even more complicated industry like game development, at Bethesda's level, like Bethesda being one of the biggest, most prolific publishers in the world, I can't even begin to imagine the amount of frustration that Pete Hines experienced with the levels of corporate bureaucracy that exists within Microsoft. Like, I've talked before about this concept of corporate inertia, and like the amount of rules and middle management layers that Microsoft employees have to deal with. Like, even to get a tweet approved, I've heard, you know, even the ability to just tweet something is something you have to get Microsoft legal to sign off on sometimes, you know. I think Microsoft all up could do with being less rigid and corporate, you know, especially in a technological era where innovation is so fast paced right now, and Microsoft is sort of become too big for its own good, um, and too rigid for its own good. I mean, I mentioned earlier about Skype, right? Like, Skype was the biggest chat program in the world. It was the apex of voice communication on the internet, and Microsoft's corporate inertia basically killed it, you know. So I don't know, man. Hines said the worst part of his career was to join a place that I genuinely was a fan of, and people there I genuinely held in high regard and esteem, and then to get there and see how it actually worked. To talk is something, right? Pete Hines said. But I'm very much about what is the follow-up to that. What do you mean what you say? Do you mean what you say? Or are you just saying shit that sounds good, and then as soon as you leave this room, it's completely forgotten? Because that is not how we operated at Bethesda. Um, yeah, I don't know. That's not to say everything Bethesda said we did. Yeah, I did. Yeah, we probably didn't fucking come close to that. But that was absolutely our intention. We're going to do what we say and what we do and be genuine and authentic. And truthfully, I still think Bethesda is just part of something that is not authentic and is not genuine. And that shouldn't be a surprise to you. So, you know, that's Pete Hines' perspective on the current situation at Microsoft. And after working in and around the Microsoft universe for 10 years, like, I kind of what he says really kind of resonates with me, to be quite honest with you. Um, there are individuals at Microsoft who are absolutely fantastic and brilliant. Like, they are the smartest, most passionate people. And then the way Microsoft is structured as an entity kind of just grinds you down and sort of prevents you from realizing your full potential, you know. Um, and it's kind of like, it's weird because I will also hear from some studios that they don't get enough support, you know, where it's like some studios are kind of like they're meddled with too much, and then other studios, like, they don't get enough support. But it's weird because I look at Blizzard right now, and I see a Blizzard that's sort of, and yeah, I was bitching about Warcraft story earlier, but I see a Blizzard that's achieving more than it has in decades. So then I'm just sitting there wondering, like, how much worse was Bobby Kotick to work for than Microsoft, right? But anyway, I digress. I think, like, sometimes it's like, I don't know. Sometimes things just don't work out, I guess. Um, and it's Joey Phantom says, when did that interview happen? That interview happened today, apparently, or it was published today. So, go and check out the article on Kotaku by Ethan Gach, and then Kirk, I can't pronounce their name. Kirk's Fireside chat newsletter, which I'm gonna join now, which is gaming.firesidechat.com. And it's free to subscribe to, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to send that to my newsroom now for them to cover. But yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it's tough, and I feel it's like I say, like there are so much there's so much opportunity within Xbox to be good, and I really think like Halo is kind of like the apex of the flaws of Microsoft. Like Microsoft, Halo really does seem like something that was chewed up and spat out by Microsoft's corporate inertia. You know, I think Blizzard so far seems to have avoided that, thankfully. And maybe it's because Blizzard is so far away from Redmond that Microsoft can't meddle with them too much. And maybe because like Blizzard just has such a ingrained culture already that Microsoft really doesn't want to mess with that. Like, Johanna Ferry seems to be doing a great job keeping Blizzard insulated from Microsoft, or, against Microsoft, rather. But I suppose, like, after the Bethesda acquisition, there's maybe a bit of a power vacuum at Bethesda, which probably led to situations where Microsoft was having to inject some of its corporate bullshit in there. I don't know. Man. E-Rank says, are we pretending Bethesda was in a great place before the Microsoft acquisition? I mean, it's kind of funny, man, because they weren't in a great position, being completely fair. They were kind of they were in this sort of multiplayer panic mode, and they made a bunch of games that were just not good, like Elder Scrolls Blades, for example, which got shut down actually this month. And then like stuff like Wolfenstein Youngblood, which should never have launched. And obviously Redfall was developed mostly without Microsoft, so I don't think Microsoft can really be blamed for Redfall. Maybe Microsoft should have cancelled it, to be honest, But Bethesda wasn't in a particularly fantastic state. You're right, before Microsoft acquired them. They were in this sort of service game panic. Like, where do we fit in the service game universe? We need a service game. Now, Microsoft cannot be blamed for Fallout 76's launch state, for example. So, I don't know. I just want to thank VChair23 for the 5 gift memberships. Really appreciate that, dude. But yeah, I still kind of like, I just feel for all sides in that team. It's not easy working for Microsoft, but it's not like the people there are sort of nobody there wants to do a bad job. Like Phil and Sarah and all the people that everyone wants to scapegoat now. It's always like nobody there wants to do a bad job. They're like the most passionate and smart people that I've ever met, and probably ever will meet. But there's something about working for a corporation that just sucks the life out of everything, I think. I don't know. Night Dog 248 says, Jez, what the hell happened with Obsidian and Fallout? I remember you saying nobody wants a double A Fallout, but I do. I hope Fallout 5 is a collab game. Honestly, I don't know much about Obsidian. I mean, I've been a fan of some of Obsidian's games. Like I really love Pillars of Eternity, but you know, the team and the writers that made Pillars, a lot of them are no longer there at the studio anymore. I haven't really enjoyed. I liked the Outer Worlds one, but it was also like didn't play very well. Like the shooting was not great. The only way you could really play that game was like if you played a sniper and went for headshots. Because like playing with any other gun, I just felt bad. Melee was fucking awful in that game. And then Avowed was just like just so bland. I felt like it was just the most blandy but bland. Like just and it's annoying because like people tell me like to put more time into it and give it a chance. I've put like 2 hours into it, and I just find it really tough. It just feels like I'm playing an inferior version of other games I've already played, you know. So, but you can clearly see the elements of a fantastic game still exist within Obsidian, you know. What I'm really curious about from some of Microsoft's smaller studios is Clockwork Revolution. I want to see an Exile get to that next level. Because for me, like Wasteland 3 is one of the best isometric RPGs I've ever played. It's without a doubt one of the most underrated. That game is fantastic. And the sort of the dark humor like is just sublime. So like seeing some of that get to the next level, but I don't know, man. A lot of people say like they'd love to see another Obsidian Fallout game, and like one of the big things I suppose for Microsoft is, "Ugh, what the hell do we do with the Fallout IP? You know, like they haven't had a Fallout, they haven't had a Fallout game ready to capitalize really on the TV show. I think Fallout 76 is obviously doing very well now, but it wasn't for a long fucking time. Obviously, um, even though I've kind of enjoyed Fallout 76 even at launch. But I played it like a single player game. Um, you know, and I was like some of the quests are like in the base game before they updated it. Some of the quests were really well done. Like even though like it was all in text and you sort of like the whole game was basically skeleton stories and you're going like discovering things that have previously happened. It was actually really weirdly well done and it had this sense of loneliness which is uniquely Fallout. But I don't know. Obviously it was really buggy and people didn't want that kind of game out of the Fallout franchise, you know. But Fallout 76 seems pretty decent now, but people want Fallout 5. When are we gonna get that? We haven't even got Elder Scrolls 6 yet, and after Starfield, like I kind of feel like Bethesda's reputation is on the line. Can you imagine if Elder Scrolls 6 isn't like as deep as Skyrim, you know, and do people even like will people even accept a Bethesda style game in 2026? Because I think people forget that like these kind of sandboxy kind of RPGs that Bethesda make, they're never quite on the kind of level of detail of a Red Dead Redemption 2 or whatever. These are kind of games that are more about the physics and immersion based kind of them a little bit more sandboxy than say like a more curated experience of a Red Dead Redemption or a Cyberpunk kind of. Maybe I'm describing what I mean in the wrong way. But Bethesda RPGs were kind of like jankiness was kind of like almost like by design, you know. And things have gotten like way more curated and more complicated and a little bit more scripted than Bethesda games were. Like people expect like a little bit more polish from these kind of games now. Um, yeah, J Slayer J66 says, Jez, are people going to compare Crimson Desert to it? It's like Skyrim on crack. Yeah, like I haven't played Crimson Desert yet, but I have seen people compare it. People compare it often Skyrim, which kind of makes me want to play it more, to be honest. So I don't know. I'm intrigued what will happen with Elder Scrolls, but like if Elder Scrolls 6 doesn't hit, like that's gonna do a lot of damage to Bethesda's brand. And I suppose like then people will start looking at Pete Hines' comments and like looking to blame Microsoft for this. And it's kind of like, and then it comes back to criticism of Matt Booty, doesn't it? Because Matt Booty's often been criticized for the handling of some of the properties in recent years. Like 343 and Halo Studios has to be like well and truly at the apex of this shit. How do you take a franchise like Halo and fumble it so badly? So badly. When on paper, something like Halo should be pretty simple to pull off. It's not like an MMO. It's not like an RPG with deep, crunchy systems. It doesn't have a huge branching narrative. Something like Halo should potentially be relatively, comparatively simple to pull off than some of these other games out there. I'm not saying it's easy, but like the genre that Halo fits in should be something that like you've got a blueprint of what people want out of Halo, and previous games you can draw upon, like the Halo 2 and stuff like that, and Halo Reach and whatever. Like how the fuck do you not execute that? I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. But I am very interested. Like, have any of you guys played the new Starfield stuff? I haven't touched Starfield yet. I'm kind of scared too. It's out now, right? I'm pretty sure it's out now. Like I've been in such a Warcraft hole the last month that I've kind of just not looked at anything else. Like the gameplay footage you're seeing of me playing Dread Delusion. This is basically the first game I played since I reviewed Resident Evil, other than Warcraft. Like I've been so deep in Warcraft right now that I haven't touched anything else. Um, Fuzzy Tomato 22. Basically, every Halo killer failed at matching the classic Halos, so it's clearly not that easy. I mean, that's a fair point. What was that? What was that one Halo killer game? Was it called Haze or something? It had like corn in the soundtrack. I remember reading like, God, that was like we're going back good 20 years now or something. I remember seeing, I think it was called Haze. I remember seeing like a gaming magazine. It was like Haze is the Halo killer on the way, and it was just like, nope. Oh man. Halo began to get narratively convoluted. The path it should have taken was to continue along the lines of Reach. I mean, yeah, maybe. Woodpit says if Crimson Desert added a few cutscenes at the beginning, would do wonders. I've got Crimson Desert installed on my Xbox right now, but I'm literally looking at it on the screen. But I also kind of like I don't want to get into something that's that deep right now, to be quite honest with you. I've got a bunch of other games I want to play that are coming up, like Pragmata, for example. Pragmata feels like it'll be a sort of more contained, tight experience. I also want to try Absolem, but the play button doesn't work on the Xbox Ally right now, which is really annoying. Dread Delusion as well. Like, what I played at Dread Delusion seemed pretty cool. And also, I'm still enjoying World of Warcraft. The new end game is really addictive. And I've been playing Overwatch a bit recently too. Like, I'm loving my Overwatch again. I've become one of these mono gamers, man. Erank says, I'm very mixed on Terra and Armada. I think the combat and gameplay are great. The robot enemies seem pretty intelligent. However, the story was short and didn't really hit for me. Fair enough, man. I wonder if they're gonna do more DLC after that. Like, have they said if they're gonna do more DLC for Starfield after Terra and Armada, or is that it now? I'm curious if they're gonna keep trying to push that, because considering how long it took for Terra and Armada to come out, Like it's been a pretty long time. Um, you would have thought it would be like bigger, I suppose. Um, Didakbra says yes, they will. Yes, there's more DLC coming. Fair enough. Fair enough. True Hero with the 813 with the $2 super chat. Thanks, mate. Did you know about the achievements refresh, Jez? Well, the achievement refresh kind of leaked with the Xbox Cloud Gaming beta dashboard. Like, that had some of the new features in there, but I didn't know they were gonna go. I don't know if they're going harder on the achievement system, like adding platinum achievements, which I know people ask a lot for. But if they are like, if they do want to show that they want to address user feedback, adding achievement tracking for games that you've 100%ed is low hanging fruit for me. So I don't know what their plans are long term there, but I didn't know they were gonna come at it again. Um, uh, Rymouth X with the $20 Canadian. Thank you so much, dude. Awesome you here, Jez. Also, Asha is a bae. She seems pretty cool, you know. She seems immediately popular. Like everyone I've spoken to who's spoken to Asha says they feel reassured by her leadership and stuff. So, we'll see how it goes, man. We'll see how it goes. TGI 7046 says TJI, sorry, says, Jez, do you know if Asha has visited all the Xbox studios? Is there any changes happening to management? Asha has been visiting different Xbox studios. I think she was actually down at Blizzard recently. So she has been like visiting the studios and introducing herself to the teams and that kind of thing. So it does seem like she's sort of getting a lay of the land, I think, before any major changes come down the pipeline. But I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. I think like she's gonna let Matt Booty run the gaming org, like the org that makes the actual games. But I think what Asher will probably be doing mostly to start with, in my head, there needs to be more investment on the platform side, particularly so Xbox's social layers and social graph. So if it was me, I would probably be looking to spin up a team specifically dedicated to making systems that can exist within the games. I think too much of the Xbox network system right now is in the dashboard. More of that stuff needs to be in game. Like, I shouldn't need to leave the game to send a message on Xbox Live. I should be able to do it from within the game on no matter what platform I'm on. Epic Games does this. And Blizzard does this. If I'm playing Diablo on PlayStation, I can send a text message to someone playing World of Warcraft on PC or someone playing another game on Xbox on Battle.net. If I'm playing Fortnite, I can message someone in Roblox, in Rocket League or Fall Guys using the Epic Games system. You know, right now, it all revolves around the Xbox apps and the dashboard, and I think they've got it back to front. And I think Asher, having tenured at Facebook, will get that and probably invest in doing something about that. So I don't think there'll be any sort of huge leadership changes in the short term. But who knows, man? Who knows? Alpha Light says, Jez, I have a Patreon question about a good social idea for Xbox. Um, drop the Patreon questions on the thread. But I think me and Rand are going to do Patreon questions on Monday. We are still going to do a show this week, so stay tuned for that. It's just Rand's internet was dead today, so we couldn't do it. But we'll do the Patreon show. We'll do the Patreon Q&A on the Xbox 2 on Monday, hopefully. If Rand's internet isn't dead. If Rand's internet is dead again on Monday, then I'll do the Patreon Q&A in another solo show on Monday. But yes. What else do we have here? let's get some other Xboxy news that I might have missed this week. Um, So yeah, I don't know. I think that's pretty much everything that we've covered. We've covered the achievement system, the new stuff. We've covered the feedback. We've covered the leaked Game Pass codes. We've discussed what could be happening with Asher in the future, and we've also been discussing a little bit about State of Decay 3. So yeah, I think that's gonna be the show, guys. So thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. Thanks for all the super chats. Really appreciate you guys. Jump on patreon.com/xb2. It's free to join. And also like if you join for free, um, you also get, I'm starting a newsletter. I haven't done the newsletter for a couple of weeks because I had vacation and stuff like that, but I'm going to be starting up the newsletter again. So if you join Patreon for free, you get the newsletter. If you do paid tiers, then you get ad-free podcast audio, and then you also get Q&A segments and access to the extra shows that we do. We are doing an extra show on Tuesday. We might also do an extra show on Monday. Um, uh, we'll do the regular show on Monday, sorry, as we couldn't do it today because Rand's internet was down. And also check out surfshark.net/XB2 for 86% off a great VPN. Really appreciate you guys for dropping by. Oh, one thing, someone did ask about Helix packages. I didn't get the Helix package, but I did see like Microsoft sent out some Project Helix stuff to influencers, right? I saw Destin Legary got one, I think, and Paris got one. It's some cool stuff. They haven't done that kind of thing for quite a while, so it does seem like Microsoft's spinning the budget back up to market again, I suppose. But no, I didn't get one, sadly. Where's my hookup, Microsoft? What the hell? Nah, I think the real reason I didn't get one is probably because they're like, we don't make, they weren't, they weren't gonna have them in my size. Imagine. I'm a beefy boy, but nah, it looked pretty cool, and hopefully that some of the Project Helix merch will be available to buy, because it's a cool code name, man. I really like the code name. But anyways, yeah, thanks so much for joining. If you're listening, if you've listened live, really appreciate you. If you listen on Spotify or anywhere else later on, really appreciate that too. Subscribe to the channel. I'll try and do some more of these shows in the future. And yeah, I don't know. Keep it gaming, as Rand says. Have a great weekend, and I will see you hopefully on Monday. Take care, everybody. Peace out.